Girlfriend, welcome to a special episode of the Hope After Breast Cancer podcast. Are you tired of just surviving breast cancer? Well, you've come to the right place. Our beautiful contributing expert and integrative nutrition health coach, Karin Del Maestro, is about to share her top tips for a thriving lifestyle with you. I know you'll enjoy her coaching. Here's Karin.
Hello there, and welcome back to the third part of our series, Essentials for Thriving After Breast Cancer. I am jumping in here as your host for this series. My name's Karin Del Maestro. I'm your health and transformation coach, breast cancer and BRCA2 thriver. And today we're going to be talking about managing stress. Who has any stress in their life? Right? I know. So why is this important? Why is stress important when it comes to thriving, helping lower our risk of getting sick again, and just basically living a healthy, energetic life? Well, let's see. Let's start with the fact that where our mind goes, our energy flows. So that means everything you think about, everything you stew on, everything you are projecting. I wonder if this happens. I wonder if that happens. Even things like, I wonder what they're going to say. I wonder what they're going to think. What would happen if? Can you recognize yourself in those sayings? Right? Maybe you're just like, life's so stressful. I'm so stressed. Do you find yourself making those statements all the time? Yes, life is stressful. And you may have even Googled, right? Does stress cause cancer? And you would have seen the answer, no, stress does not cause cancer. However, again, I put my Sherlock Holmes hat on after my own diagnosis and was wondering, what can I do to lower my risk of getting sick again? And stress ended up being playing a much bigger role than I'd originally anticipated. You see, stress itself does not cause cancer. However, the effect that stress has on your body, plus how you cope with stress, can all cause inflammation, hormonal disruption, and those things can cause cancer. So something else that I learned as I was researching and digging was that there's a gentleman by the name of Dr. W. Douglas Brody. He's an integrative cancer therapist. And I've kind of become a big fan of his, fangirling all of his work and the work that he's done specifically with regards to cancer personality traits. But you didn't know that those existed. Most of us don't because most people aren't talking about it. But for me, it connected a lot of dots. A lot of the reasons for myself, not just myself, but I speak to hundreds of breast cancer survivors. And if I can tell you how many of us, and you may well be included in this, experienced a massive stressful event 12 to 48 months prior to our diagnosis. Think back. What was going on prior to your diagnosis? Was there a traumatic event? Was there a massive amount of stress? There was for me. 1 year prior to my diagnosis, within a 1 month period, I was by my mum's bedside in the UK as she passed away. We had just learned 1 week prior that she had stomach, liver, lung, and skull cancer. No prior cancers, no prior history. And suddenly, boom. I think we can say that that was traumatic, grief, challenging. And then the day after my mom's funeral, my brother had been walking around the house all day, grabbing his stomach. He'd had stomach pain and it wasn't getting better no matter what he did. And in the end, I said to him, "Hey, hospital or doctor, which one are we doing?" And he looked at me as brothers do and look at their older sisters as if to say, "Here she goes again." But reluctantly, he said, "Okay, let's go to the doctor." Well, the doctor immediately called an ambulance, and my brother had surgery that day where he was given a 50-50 chance of living. So he almost died the day after my mom's funeral. He was in hospital for a couple of weeks. I was with my niece taking care of her because she had lost her mom to breast cancer. And the day after my brother came out of hospital, I get a phone call from the US where my husband and I live. And it was my husband telling me, "Don't worry, but I've been in a motorcycle accident. Everything's fine." And I had to make the decision do I leave my brother, who was struggling and not doing well after he'd just come home? Do I go to my husband? And being pulled in both directions. Now, my husband's saying, "Don't come." But unbeknown to me at the time, my husband sent a picture to my brother of his right arm. And my brother said, don't you dare stay here, go back. Well, we didn't know for 2 months if they were going to be able to save my husband's arm or not. So let me just recap that, okay? And these are the highlights. Obviously, we all know that there are emotions and so many details wrapped up in each of these instances. But in a 1-month period, my mom died, my brother almost died, and my husband was in a terrible motorcycle accident. That happened 1 year prior to my breast cancer diagnosis. Now, I have, unbeknown to me at the time, but I carried the BRCA2 genetic mutation. So my body was primed, it was ready, it was just waiting. And that massive, stressful time, challenging time of my life was definitely to me a big part of the trigger that triggered the cancer cells to grow. So I just want you to think back, because stress, what happens is stress, you may have heard of our stress hormone, cortisol. And when we're stressed, our cortisol levels rise. And when one hormone rises in our body, our others are automatically trying to balance it out without getting too sciencey on you. And so it can throw off all of our other hormones in our body. Now, I had hormone receptive breast cancer. So again, there's the link. But also when we're stressed, it increases our inflammation levels. Inflammation is the root cause of all serious disease. And so our inflammation levels are going up. That's another reason that, learning to manage stress is a key component in thriving and staying healthy. And the other part of that I kind of touched on briefly is how we cope with stress. Now, and this is judgment free, please understand, we're all human and I am not immune to this, but it's understanding that certain behaviors don't benefit us when it comes to helping to reduce our risk. We get to choose. But when we're stressed, what's the first thing we do? Well, if you're a woman, you're probably reaching for chocolate in some way or another, right? Whether it's cookies or cakes or a chocolate bar, ice cream. Or if your name is Karin Del Maestro, then you're reaching for sour cream and onion potato chips, because that's my thing, right? That's my go-to. So again, I said, none of us are immune to this, right? Stressful eating is a real thing. And you probably experienced that going through COVID, and probably again after a breast cancer diagnosis. But the problem with these types of foods is, and if you heard me talk about the right foods in episode 1 of this series, part 1 of this series, we were talking about the right foods and how food can be inflammatory. These foods that we tend to crave when we're stressed, these comfort foods, are often inflammatory in our body. So again, increasing our risk of getting sick. Alcohol causes inflammation. Sugar causes inflammation. Fried food causing inflammation. And so it's not just that we're reaching for an extra glass of wine or reaching for the cookies. It's how that affects our risk factors for this disease. And it's not talked about. It's not talked about. And so, as I say all the time, the waves of life continue to crash, right? We can't stop the stress, but it's our ability to learn how to surf that makes the difference. So we want to start inviting in healthier coping mechanisms for stress. And that could be, and I give you a lot of ideas for this inside Essentials for Thriving, the self-paced program. You'll find the link in the show notes, but I give you a lot of ideas for these types of things that these can be. I also help you create your own crazed to calm plan. Because when the stress hits, we're in it. It's too late. But if we have a plan for how we're going to manage stress, we're much more likely to be able to control our behavior going into it. Okay, again, please offer yourself compassion here. As somebody that's been through a lot of major traumatic stress, and since that time, my brother has actually passed away. There's been a lot going on: Zika virus, shingles, breast cancer, so many things. I'm not even going to go into it right now, but so many things. But I've changed my ability to learn to surf. I've changed how I manage stress. I've changed my outlook, knowing that this too shall pass, but also knowing that when it comes to stress and the emotions around it, holding it in our body is the worst thing that we can do. Because there's a saying that the body keeps the score, and it does. We hold these emotions inside our body. And so learning to process them through meditation, through breath work, through yoga, through movement, really important. But the right kind of movement doesn't need to be stressful movement, right? If we're stressed, think about going for a walk outside in nature instead. Getting outside, being in nature is one of the best gifts that you can give to yourself. Okay, if it's cold, wrap up. If it's warm, wear sunscreen. So this is what we talk about in Module 3 in Essentials for Thriving. We're talking about managing stress. I go more into detail on how it affects your body, and I give you a lot of suggestions for creating your own crazed to calm plan, taking you from feeling crazed, getting you into a calmer mindset so that we're not as likely to be reaching for those coping mechanisms, the glass of wine, the potato chips, the chocolate, the ice cream, whatever yours might be. And also trying to minimize that involvement of cortisol, your stress hormone. So again, focusing on lowering that inflammation to keep you as healthy as possible during a stressful time. The other thing I will say about that, and I'll talk more about this in the next episode, I talk about putting yourself first. And this is crucial, actually, when it comes to going through crisis, managing stressful times, as well as in everyday life, but especially when you're stressed. Okay, so hop on over there now. If you're ready to dive into this deeper, please take a look at the self-paced program, Essentials for Thriving. You'll find it gives you the strongest foundation on your anti-inflammatory habits as possible, especially when it comes to breast cancer. And these are what you'll learn in there are habits that last a lifetime. This is not the quick fix. This is the lifetime shift that you're looking for. Okay, so thank you again for joining today. I will see you in the next episode where we're going to be talking about putting yourself first and why it's so important, especially when it comes to Cancer personality traits. That's right. I will see you over there shortly. Thank you so much for joining me again today. My name's Karin Del Maestro, your health and transformation coach. I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Many thanks to the amazing Karin Del Maestro for sharing her Essentials for Thriving tips with our community. This episode is one of 5 Essentials for Thriving podcasts, so check out the other ones too. Please subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. We'll see you next time.